I have been painting a lot of Reaper bones the last couple of years. By a lot, I mean that they have been the largest percentage of figures that I have been painting. For several months it was 100% of what I painted. The factors were several. Money was a bit tighter, and if you're on a real miniature budget, then bones are the best value around. $10 can get you 3 figures. I have been playing a lot of D&D also, and the bones line are great for D&D. They are sturdy, have a large range now, so within reason you can find several options for most characters you have in mind. Newer races to D&D are not yet covered, but certainly elves, dwarves, etc. The downside is that although they are great value and have a huge line, they are still a budget figure. Now in and of itself there is nothing wrong with that, but the detail isn't as sharp or as complex as the more expensive figures. That is to be expected, however, as they are in 2 totally different price points. I have been finding my painting has been getting a little worse lately, as I have been painting within the bones limitations. I also really enjoy painting metal figures, more so than resin, but resin is also very cool. I have been missing the metal figures a lot and decided that I had to get some of them back into my lineup. A fair while ago I bought a couple of Hasslefree Miniatures and did their Kickstarter last year. The 2 I had on my shelf was a Barbarian and a Spellcaster. Both were very cool, and I had to admit that I like Hasslefree a lot. Not a fan of their website all the time, as some of their figs don't have pics, and I have no idea if I want them, if I don't know what they look like. But that aside, I dig the design philosophy behind the figs. There is a mix of naked, pin-up figs, for both male and female, but then a lot of these figures also come in winter versions with a lot more gear, armour and clothing. I tend to buy the winter versions as there is more fun stuff to work on. I decided to do the Spellcaster first. One thing I liked was the fact she was a single piece. I didn't have to do any construction, and I bounced a couple of colour ideas around and realised that that is why it has taken so long to start her. I've been doing this dance before. Finally, and I do mean finally, as it took quite a while of messing with a colour wheel before I changed my mind for the 15th time, I settled on a pretty basic colour palette. She was so cool, so what was her story? Looking at her, it was obvious she isn't a novice mage, but a creature of power. I decided that I wanted to do her purple, and as purple is also a royal colour, that made her a royal mage. Did that mean she was part of the Queen's Magi Circle? Is she part of the Royal Guard, changing armour and swords for the power of mana and spells? She might be at odds with the more militant side of the Royal Guard. They may prefer to act and be decisive, whereas the mage side might be more cautious, more educated and patient. I started with the deep areas first, so face and hair. This way I could work back. As the cloak surrounded some of the dress, I next moved to the dress. This was a nice, deep Games Workshop purple. Reaper browns were used on the boots, and P3 for the cloak. I then used a really light grey on the cloak before dry brushing the blue back over the top. This gives the cloak an appearance of some texture. This figure is also available in an action pose with arms outstretched as she unleashes a spell. This one was a lot of fun to do, so I might well pick up the action version, and at around $12 Canadian before shipping she wasn't too expensive.